Welcome. My name is Madeline, and I work in the Office of Civics and Community Services at the Los Angeles Public Library. Today I'm here with Sarah Gonzalez, City Clerk from the City Clerk's office, for a streaming presentation about our city's upcoming election. For additional information about upcoming elections, please go to www.lapl.org/vote. And a little bit about Sarah. Sarah Gonzalez is a project coordinator with the Office of the City Clerk, Election Division. She's been with the Election Division for over a decade and has overseen City Employee Poll Worker Program and the training of community poll workers. Since 2018, she has worked in outreach, focusing on voter education. She has partnered with LAPL for the Source and for youth citizenship ceremonies. She loves engaging with the public and how information empowers Angelenos to ask more questions, educate others, and mobilize to participate in the voting process. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you again. Right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. As many of you may know, we have some very important elections coming up. And so I want to give us an opportunity to give you some key updates, some deadlines to remind you of, as well as hopefully some useful tools that will inform and empower you and hopefully mobilize you to participate. So let's get started. So the upcoming elections, as we know, we've been hearing a lot about the primary. It is officially primary season in the US. And for California, that primary takes place on March 5th. So Tuesday, March 5th is what we call the primary nominating election. And then the general, or what's sometimes referred to as the runoff election, will happen in November, so Tuesday, November 5th. I do want to take the time to let you know that as a voter in the city of Los Angeles, you can receive your official election information in many languages besides English. So you can receive information, including voting instructions and voter information pamphlets in Armenian, Chinese, Farsi, Hindi, Japanese, Khmer, Korean, Spanish, Russian, Tagalog, Thai, and Vietnamese. So if you feel that you or someone that you know or care about would benefit from receiving their voter information in one of these languages, please let them know that they can update their voter registration and make that their preference, and hopefully make voting a little more private and a little bit more confidence boosting for that voter. So let's talk about what's on the ballot. Now, we are the LA City Clerk's office, so we want to make sure that Angelenos know about the really important races that are happening here in the city locally. So in the city of Los Angeles, the offices that will be elected are going to be for our council district members for the even number seats. So if you live in Los Angeles and you live in council districts 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, or 14, that means that you are eligible to be voting for your council representative if you're a registered voter. The other city-related item that's going to be on the ballot is going to be a measure. So it's the City Mobility Plan Street Improvement Measures, and that's going to be called HLA on the ballot. So when you receive your voter information pamphlet, you'll be able to read the title, the summary, and some of the arguments for and against why these folks who propose this ballot measurement think that you should vote for, and some of the folks who think you should vote against, and they give you your reasons there. So you can read that. And if you selected to receive your information in a preferred language besides English, then all of that text will also be in that preferred language. So really great options. Other local races that are on the ballot are for the LAUSD District Board of Education. So if you live in the city of Los Angeles and in some of the kind of outskirts of the city of LA, and you know that you're part of LAUSD, LA Unified School District, you'll be voting for your board seat members for seats 1, 3, 5, and 7. So districts 1, 3, 5, and 7. I personally live in District 5, so that's one thing I know will be on my ballot. Of course, we know it is not just a local election. There's several other federal, state, and county issues on the ballot, so let's discuss a little bit about those. On the federal level, here in California, you will be voting for one of your 2 California senators, and those are your lawmakers that represent you in Washington and make those decisions on your behalf. So as we know, we did lose one of our senators. Dianne Feinstein passed away earlier this year, and so that seat is open now for election. Also, on the federal level, depending on which district you live in, you may be voting for one of your U.S. representatives. So that's somebody who, again, is in Congress and the House of Representatives and is a lawmaker on your behalf. There's also some other official party nominations that are happening. So we can kind of take a closer look at those and decide if that's something that you want to be voting on as well. On the state level, so we have some lawmakers that are California lawmakers, meaning they represent you in Sacramento and make laws on your behalf that are applicable just to the state of California. So again, depending on where you live, you may be voting for your California state senator or your California state assembly member. And that's kind of like the state version of Congress, right? The senators and the House of Representatives. And then in California, we have state senators and state assembly members. On the county level, if you live in supervisor districts 2, 4, and 5, then you will have the opportunity to vote for who represents you on the County Board of Supervisors. The seat for district attorney is also up. And I believe, oh goodness, last I heard it was anywhere from 12 to 14 candidates. It's quite like a big race. Also, a huge one that I want to highlight that a lot of folks maybe find it difficult to find information about. You'll be having the opportunity to vote for 169 different judgeships. So folks who are running to have your vote as a judge. So that's a pretty big one. I always tell people, sometimes folks feel a little maybe disillusioned about voting for elected officials, but I say, well, I think we can all agree that maybe it's a great idea to have make a little bit of time to look into who is hoping to sit in a really important seat as a judge, right? Kind of better for us to know how we feel about that person's ability before they're elected, right? Instead of maybe when us or somebody that we love is standing before them, right? So some really important choices for all of us to make. I know it can be really overwhelming to make so many decisions. As we know, in LA County, our vote by mail ballots automatically mailed to us, and it's in this wonderful, long, large print format, and it can be several different pages, especially in the primary like this, where we have so many decisions to make. So I really encourage you all to take your time and make your way through your ballot. And don't forget the things at the top of your ballot, which are our local city races that we talked about. So if you find that you get to a particular race and you're not sure how you want to vote, make some notes, take your time. That's how you know that you need to maybe ask a few friends if they've had any great resources, or find some great nonpartisan resources on your own. We're really lucky locally here in Los Angeles. LAist, which used to be known as KPCC, has a great voter game plan. They're a nonpartisan news outlet here in Los Angeles, and they do a really great job of covering candidate forums, as well as interviewing different candidates, as well as interviewing judges. So something like that, where great nonpartisan news sources might be something that you want to look at. And we'll get to a few reminders in just a little bit that will help you understand what might be mailed to your house that you can use as a resource as well. Now, Tuesday, March 5th is a primary election. And in this year, that also includes the presidential primary. So there is definitely some choices that we need to make as registered voters in the coming weeks to make sure that we are receiving the ballot with the races that we hope to vote on, that we're getting that the first time around, or that we know where we can go to help make sure that we're voting on the races that we hope to vote for. So one of the purposes of a primary election for any races is that we identify who the top candidate is. So somebody can win a primary election outright, meaning they received 50% plus one vote of all of the total votes for that race. If a candidate receives 50% plus one vote of those total votes, it means that they won outright. They are automatically elected to that seat they won. Now in California, we have the top two primary system. So if there is a race that has many candidates, a lot of times it's quite difficult for one candidate to receive that 50% plus one vote. And in that case, if no one candidate does receive that amount, then the top two vote getters move on to the general election or the runoff. And so that's the case in California for many of our elected seats. And that is the case for our primaries across the nation when it comes to the presidential race this time around. So we're talking about our races for our city council members and our LAUSD board members. So if no one candidate receives 50% plus one vote, then the top two vote getters will move on to the primary. Now, what is the other purpose of the primary, especially in a presidential primary election? Well, each of the parties that are putting forth candidates for the race for president currently have or may have several different candidates that are eligible. They had filed for candidacy, they met the requirements, and they are on the primary ballot. Now, for each particular party, their job is, well, we need voters to help us decide who is going to be that winner that moves on to represent the party in the general election. So, if you are registered with a particular party in California, that means that your primary ballot, when it comes to the race for president, will have the candidates that are running for president in that party. So it's very different from a general election where you'll see all of those candidates for president from all of the parties, and it doesn't matter how you're registered. You're welcome to make a selection for any of those. And so there's a few rules I want to clarify because if we don't know how this works, it might get a little frustrating down the line. So if you are registered with a party, you will receive a ballot, as I mentioned, that has the candidates for president for that party on your ballot. If you are registered as no party preference, otherwise known as nonpartisan or an independent voter, that means you are not officially registered with a party, but you are registered to vote. There is a decision that you need to make because currently, if you don't request a particular ballot or re-register for a particular ballot, you will receive a primary ballot that does not include the race for president. So if you're nonpartisan, LA County mailed out a notice and it says, hello, nonpartisan, no party preference voter. You have a choice to make. Now, or for this current election, there are three parties, the American Independent Party, the Democratic Party, and the Libertarian Party, that allow voters who are registered as no party preference, nonpartisan, to receive what's called a crossover ballot. And to receive that, all that voter needs to do is let the county know which of those three crossover ballots they'd like to receive. And that means that they are not re-registering, they're just requesting that crossover ballot for just this particular primary election. And the county will say, thank you for letting us know which one you wanted, and they will mail you that crossover ballot that includes everything you're eligible to vote for and that crossover race for that party. So again, that's the American Independent Party, Democratic Party, and Libertarian parties that allow nonpartisan voters to receive a crossover ballot by just requesting it. Now, the Green Party, Peace and Freedom Party, and Republican Party don't have this crossover option. If you are a voter who wishes to vote for the race for president for those three parties, you would like to help make the choice for who will be the Green Party candidate in November, who will be the Peace and Freedom Party candidate in November, or who will be the Republican Party candidate for president in November, you need to re-register with that party prior to the voter registration deadline, and the county will then send you that party ballot that includes everything you're eligible for and the race for president for that party that you registered for. So that means we've got some work to do. So if you received that notice, please reply to it. If you lost it or you don't know where it is, no worries. You can also go to lavote.gov, which I will show later in a future slide, and you can either request that crossover or use the link to re-register with the party for which you wish to vote for president for this coming election on March 5th. Okay, a lot of information, but I want to make sure that everybody understands what their options are and has plenty of time to make those options or request the ballot or re-register if that's what they need to do. Okay, all right, so let's move on. So what steps should you take? Absolutely. I recommend that everyone who is eligible to vote, number one, make sure that they're registered. And number two, even if you're absolutely positive that you are registered to vote and you're just a wonderful active voter, I think everyone should take just a few minutes to verify the details of their registration. We do this a lot for folks out in the field, and you'd be surprised. A lot of folks maybe haven't checked their registration in quite a while, and we help them look it up. Some folks have been surprised to see that the address is listed incorrectly. Sometimes it's just a typo, but it's a really important thing to do, especially now that the county automatically mails everyone their vote by mail ballot. So definitely want to make sure that the address is correct so that the ballot goes to the right place, right? Number two, there's a lot of folks who have been surprised that either by accident or by error, the party that's listed on the registration isn't the one that they would think it is, or isn't the one that they thought they selected. So really, I recommend everybody takes a few moments you can scan the QR code that's right there, and that'll take you to our registration landing page. And you can look up your registration with just a few cues. I believe you might need your driver's license handy for the number, your street address, and the last four of your social. And remember, all this information is ultimately on the California Secretary of State website. It's a completely secure website. And that way you're able to look up what does your registration say, and do you need to make any edits? So if you've recently moved or know someone who has, if you would like to change your party affiliation, or if you've maybe legally changed your name, or if you or someone you know wants to update their language preference, please take a few minutes to scan the QR here and verify your details and maybe make some updates if necessary. Okay, all right. So some key reminders. As we mentioned, the county did mail out this no party preference mailer. If you still have it handy, please consider taking a look and replying to it. If you don't mind that your no party preference ballot will not include the race for president for any of the parties, that's fine. You don't need to take any action. If you want to receive one of those crossover ballots from the three parties that allow it, or if you prefer to re-register with one of the three parties that require that to vote for their candidate for president, you've got some time to do it. Please try to do it this week, sooner than better, because as you see, the county will eventually mail out those vote by mail ballots. So we definitely want to do this way ahead of time so that the county can make sure to mail you the correct ballot that you requested. So the city will be mailing out our city information, our voter information pamphlets, and that includes our translated voter information pamphlets out to voters beginning on January 24th. I believe it's the 24th through the 31st is when we'll be mailing those out. The county also mails you an official sample ballot. So my recommendation for all voters is if you see a seal, that's probably a great place to start doing your election homework. So if you see the city seal right there in the corner, that means it came from the city of Los Angeles from the office of the city clerk. It is official nonpartisan information that we are hoping that you will take a look at to help you make more confident choices on your ballot. If you receive something with the county seal or the seal of California, then that was from LA County Registrar Recorder County Clerk or from the California Secretary of State. Also, nonpartisan agencies that are just hoping that you will take some time so that you'll make some more informed, confident choices on your ballot. Okay? All right. So I want to review some of the really great features that voters in Los Angeles have with our new vote system. So this all began back in 2020, and so some of you may be aware. But one of the great features is, number one, all active LA registered voters will automatically receive their vote by mail ballot in the mail. So we know if you're nonpartisan or you hope to receive a different party ballot, you need to make some changes, or you need to request a crossover ballot, right? Hopefully that's before February 5th when they start to get mailed out, but definitely hopefully before the February 20th voter registration deadline. But everyone will receive a vote by mail ballot to their home. And it's really wonderful. I love this. I get to take my time. And when I get to a contest where I'm not sure how I want to vote, I just, it's so convenient to just pick up your phone and look up what that race is, read a little bit about the candidates, maybe look up a few news articles, and maybe make a more informed choice, right? So you get to fill out your ballot in the comfort of your home and take your time over however many days you take to fill it out. And then it's super easy to return it. It comes with your I voted sticker, so you don't miss out on that. It comes with a return envelope that's already pre-posted, so you don't have to go find a stamp. All you do is fill out the back, make sure to sign it, seal it, and then you can either use one of these wonderful secure ballot drop boxes that the county has permanently installed all over the county and all over the city. Or you can mail it back. You can put it in your own personal mailbox. Definitely want to make sure that it's postmarked by election day and received within, I believe it's 7 days. So if it's on election day, you're not sure it's going to get postmarked, probably best to find one of these secure drop boxes before the polls close. Or you can go to any of the vote centers in person. You don't need to wait in line. There's usually somebody who is staffing the ballot box that's collecting our vote by mail ballots right there. They'll even do you the courtesy of reviewing your envelope for you, making sure that you filled it out and you signed it before you drop it into their drop box. So you don't have to wait in line. Just say, hey, I'm here to drop off my vote by mail ballot, and they'll direct you to the box to do that. So you can use your own mailbox, you can use one of the secure drop boxes, or go to any vote center without waiting in line and drop off that vote by mail ballot. I do want to talk about really wonderful in-person voting. If you haven't had an opportunity to vote in person in LA County since we've started implementing this new voting system, I really recommend it. The ballot marking devices are amazing. They are, of course, wheelchair accessible and have a bunch of other really great accessibility features, including increasing the font size, adjusting the contrast. Also, you can select many different languages to read the ballot. You can also bring your own headphones, or they can provide you with headphones to listen to the ballot. So it's a really remarkable device that just helps you to mark your ballot. Then it gives you the opportunity to review it. Then it prints it out. It is a paper ballot. You're not voting electronically. It prints out your paper ballot. You're able to pick it up, review it again, and then decide whether or not you are ready to cast it. If you feel like there's might be an error on the ballot, any of the vote center workers can help you to start the process over again. They'll go ahead and spoil that ballot, and then you can receive an opportunity to try again and make your accurate choices. Then when you're ready to cast your ballot, it goes directly into the ballot box. So it's a really awesome experience. I really recommend everybody try it. And I recommend everybody try to vote early. So throughout the county, we have vote centers, several of which will be open for early voting for up to 10 days prior to the election. But all of the vote centers will be open for 4 days of voting. So we've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the Tuesday of Election Day. And in LA County, you can go to any vote center in the county. So if you happen to live all the way south in San Pedro and you work all the way north in Van Nuys, you do not need to brave traffic to head home only on election day and hope you get there in time to vote at your home precinct as it used to be. You can vote anytime during that early vote period in person at the vote center that's most convenient for you. So if you've got a vote center down the street from your work and you want to go on your lunch hour, or you want to go right after work before you sit in traffic on your way home to San Pedro, you can do that. So really a lot of flexibility of when and where you vote in LA County. So I hope you'll all take advantage of that. I also want to touch a little bit on the voter registration deadline. So we do need to have a deadline in order for the county to be able to print and send out all of our ballots, for example. But what happens if you miss the deadline? What happens? Well, you still have an opportunity to vote. You can go to any vote center, even on election day, even if you've never registered to vote. If you qualify to vote in the election, meaning you are a U.S. citizen and you're 18 and older, go to any vote center, and the vote center employees there will help you register that very same day and help you vote conditionally. This just means that they'll finish processing your voter registration and then they will count your ballot. So it's really great. We've got a lot of opportunity to make changes and to help us all have more access to voting if we're eligible. So really great. You missed the deadline, or you know someone who did. Like maybe you ask your brother on election day, did you vote? And he says, I'm not even registered. You say, not a problem. I'm going to take you to a vote center and they're going to help you do it. So nobody has an excuse if they're eligible to vote to sit this one out. All right. I also want to share some really great news and maybe an opportunity for a lot of you viewing. LA County, which is the agency that facilitates the election and puts it on for us, they are in need of election workers. So if you or someone you know is available to work for either 10 days of the election or those 4 days of early voting, please scan the QR code that's there, or go ahead and give that phone number a call. So it's 800-816-2666, option 7. And they are actively looking for vote center workers, especially who are bilingual in the languages that you see listed here. So Armenian, Farsi, Hindi, and so on and so forth. So if you know someone who is bilingual in any of these languages, share with them the link. If you scan this QR while you're viewing here and then maybe send them a text with the link, they can go directly to levote.gov and sign up to be one of our bilingual poll workers. You do not need to be a U.S. citizen to be a poll worker, but you do need to be a legal permanent resident. All right. So I also want to remind everyone that the LA City Clerk's outreach team wants to engage with all Angelenos. So we currently have outreach initiatives that focus on underserved youth, gender and racial equity, voters with disabilities, LGBTQ plus community, veterans, faith-based organizations, folks who are formerly incarcerated, our unhoused neighbors, senior citizens, new Americans, colleges, and K through 12 schools. So we offer voter information tables. We also do presentations, workshops, and voter registration trainings to absolutely anyone who wishes to have them. So if you, your employer, your friends, your church group, anyone you know is interested in helping to get out the vote or just wants to be more informed about the election and would want one of us to come out to you and give a presentation or hold a workshop or hold a Q&A session, it would be our honor to do so. So you can reach us at clerk.lacity.gov/elections, or you can email us at clerk.outreach@lacity.org. And one of us from our team will be happy to coordinate and come out to you and share this information. The other thing I want to highlight, especially for our high school, maybe teachers or students who are watching, is that we offer really fun, interactive mock elections as well. If you don't know, in California, if you are 16 or 17 and a US citizen, you can also pre-register to vote. So that means a lot of our high school juniors and seniors and maybe some sophomores might be eligible to pre-register to vote, which is excellent because you're able to complete that paperwork. And once you turn 18, the county will start to send you your voter information. So you definitely can't vote until you're 18, but you can pre-register and get that portion out of the way. We love to come out to you and help facilitate that and make sure all of your young future leaders are ready for their first election when they turn 18. So I hope that you'll invite our outreach team to come and do that engagement portion for you because we're ready to come out. The last thing I want to do is ask you to follow us at LA City Clerk on all of the social media platforms to stay informed and to connect with us and see what we're doing out in the field. And Madeline, if you're there, we can open it up to any questions that might be in the chat or any questions that you have. I can't hear you.
So because I did not unmute myself. Thank you so much for that informative presentation. Thank you. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I do have some that I would like to ask you. And I will take a minute to remind viewers that the library hosts a webpage. It's www.lapl.org/vote. And on that page, which is available in English and in Spanish, we do have information about registering to vote, how to vote, a sample ballot, tracking your ballot, a voter guide, language assistance and voter rights. We include government sites with additional information, information about how to fact check your resources and sources that you're looking at to evaluate issues and candidates, as well as general resources regarding voting. And I do have a few questions.
I'm sorry, Madeline. I love that. And thank you so much because every election, you guys are so proactive about making sure those resources are accessible to all of your patrons. And I also want to note that the City Clerk and LA Public Library partners to also host all of the voter registration forms themselves. So yes, of course, you can scan the QR or go directly to our site to register and vote. But if you prefer to fill out the paper form, which a lot of folks do, there are display boxes in all of the LAPL branches. as well as bilingual forms in some of those. So if you go to a particular neighborhood that happens to have a lot of folks that speak Spanish or Korean, you'll probably find those bilingual translated forms there as well. Now, if you want to help get out the vote in some way, perhaps you want to host a voter registration drive, I will ask that you please not take all the forms from our library hosts, but you can contact us, and we'd be so happy to get you what you need. Whether that's dozens of forms in different languages, or even help come out and do that voter registration drive with or for you in partnership. But yes, the public library is always ahead of the game in making sure the Angelinos are prepared for all of the elections. So thanks so much.
Well, we really appreciate the Office of the City Clerk as well. This partnership has been very fruitful. So thank you. I want to talk about, so today, what should everyone do today to prepare for the March 5th primary? Do you have recommendations?
It's right around the corner. So definitely verify your voter registration, number one, just to look up which party you are actually registered under. Because again, in the primary, while there's a lot of amazing, important races and measures that you have to make a choice about, if you want to vote for one of the political parties' candidate for president, you've got to take action. You have to either be registered with that party, or for the three parties I mentioned, request that crossover ballot if you're registered as nonpartisan. So that's something we should all do today, definitely today. And share that link with your friends and family. Don't assume even the most wonderful, engaged, politically minded friend or family member might not have checked their registration in a little while. And now that it's a primary election, you want to make sure that you're getting the ballot you hope to. Back in 2016, when we didn't have the availability of in-person same-day registration, I'll give an example. There was a lot of folks who were really excited to vote for then candidate Bernie Sanders, and he is a known independent, right? Meaning he doesn't have a party, right? And so a lot of folks accidentally registered with the American Independent Party, which is great if that was your choice, but I think they were trying to be independent and they saw the word independent and they accidentally did that. But that meant that for the 2016 primary, when they arrived to polls, the vote center worker was, obligated to give them that party ballot, and that's not what they had intended on doing. So that's just one example of sometimes folks make a little bit of a administrative error, or they think that they're doing one thing and it's not the other. So we've got time. Please verify your registration and all of the details. Make sure that you're going to receive the ballot you want and that you request that from the county in time.
Yes, that's really important to know. Thank you for sharing that. My other question is, how can I feel more informed about the many choices I can make on my ballot?
Yeah, it's a hard one. There's a lot of choices. Sometimes we've got 78 choices to make, right? Well, it sounds like your public library landing page for the election is a great place to start. Definitely. And it's difficult. Something like literacy when it comes to news outlets is something that we all have really been challenged to do the last few years, right? So personally, I like to look for what I think are trustworthy, nonpartisan websites or organizations. The League of Women Voters is also a great nonpartisan organization that tries to make sure they have a comprehensive list of resources for you. But definitely anything with a seal. So if it's got a City of LA, County of LA, or State of California seal on it, it's going to be just the facts. This is the candidate. This is the statement that they submitted on behalf of themselves, or this is the language of the ballot measure. This is the argument for and against, and you can sort of take that with a grain of salt, as they say. Take it for what it is. If I was running for office, I would certainly say wonderful things about myself. So shouldn't be the only resource that you use, but it's definitely a good place to start. It has value to see what someone says about themselves, about what their argument is for why you should vote for them.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Sure.
My last question, what do I do if I receive what I feel is the wrong ballot, or if I don't receive a ballot at all?
Yeah, that may be a challenge for a lot of voters in a primary. So definitely, if you take the time to verify your registration and make sure that you request a crossover ballot officially, either with that postcard. Now, if you have lost the postcard, don't worry, you can still go to lavote.gov. That is the LA County Registrar Recorder County Clerk's website. And they do have an option there. Yes, lavote.gov. Thanks so much. They have the option for you to still request the crossover, or they will link you to the page for you to re-register. The sooner, the better. They start to mail out ballots on February 5th. That gives us about 9 days to make sure that we are requesting the ballot that we want. What happens if you receive a ballot after the fact and you feel like it's not the one you want to vote? Don't worry about it. You don't need to vote it. So if you receive a vote by mail ballot and it doesn't have the contest you were hoping for, hang on to it. You can still go to any vote center in LA County. You're welcome to bring it with you and they will kind of spoil it for you. Or if you lose it, don't worry about it. You can still go to a vote center. Each of our vote by mail ballots has wonderful security features. It has an individual barcode that the county is able to cancel. And so that means if you go vote in person, they will cancel the one that was sent to you. And even if it gets mailed back to the county, it will get pulled and not counted. So really fantastic security features there. And you can go to any vote center and a vote center worker will make sure that you're able to re-register and conditionally vote with the ballot that you hoped to receive. So don't despair, just go in person and they will be very helpful and make sure that you get to vote the way you wanted.
Which is very important. Thank you so much, Sarah. This has been a wealth of information, and we look forward to hosting you again, and appreciate all of the resources that you shared with us today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hope to see you soon.
You too. Take care.